In case you were wondering, we are beginning now.
Thank you for the music, Jackie.
That was The Swan by, or La Sienne by Sanson, Camille Sanson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is August 8th, 2020. My name is Barney Miller Moore, and I will be your worship associate today. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. It is wonderful to see all of your vaccinated faces here in the sanctuary today, although there are some on YouTube that we aren't able to see. If you care to get more information about our church, please enroll on our email list, or to get more information, go to our website at tcuuc.org. You'll get announcements in our Friday online newsletter. A big thank you to those who helped with the service today. Jackie Robbins for the music, and to our designated singers, our greeters and ushers, and our host, Karina Peloni, and our tech wizard, Chris McGann. And thank you, Chris, for the palette I think there is water somewhere, pallet of water. Our minister, Bob MacDonald, will be in the pulpit today. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also, to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather round this light of hope as we share in this time together. Today's opening words, "We bid you welcome," are by Richard S. Gilbert, and the reading can be found in our hymnal number 442. We bid you welcome, who come with weary spirits seeking rest, who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid. We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart, who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous. We bid you welcome, those who are seekers of a new faith, who come to probe and explore, who come to learn. We bid you welcome, who enter this hall as a homecoming, who have found here room for your spirit, who find in these people a family. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are in your journey, we bid you welcome. Let us recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing through your masks, or not, for the second part. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Those of you who are in the choir or who would like to lead in singing, step up. Jackie said so.
No piano. Roman numerals.
Yeah, well.
Okay, hymn number 1.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need to reap the sea. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Joy in our midst, and that brought some. Thank you, Judy Clow. Now we invite you to share matters of joy or sorrow. Barney, if you'll, what am I asking Barney to do?
Move the rugs.
If people will come up to a mic and speak into it, we can all hear, or speak from where you're seated. If you prefer to speak from where you're seated, Barney will move a stone for you. Does anyone want to share a matter of joy or sorrow? Tell us your name and speak loud and clear. I think we know your name.
My name is Pam. I'm African American. I just came off vacation in Monaco, where I visited Grace Kelly's grave. However, I had never seen a Lamborghini or a Maserati as a convertible before, and there are some people that are living tremendously wealthy lives in other parts of the world. And I had a good time.
Anyone else?
Joe Giannicaro, French Italian. What I'm feeling is it's joy, but there's sorrow embedded in that because you can't go purely one side or the other. But I've just been reading so much about this vaccine issue and the terrible things that are going on with that. So I'm gonna frame it as a joy that there's dramatically increased amounts of people that are getting the shot, that are finally doing something about it, because it affects us all. So I see that, and also places where they're doing masking and taking precautions is on the increase as well. So I see that as a joy for all of humanity.
I'd love to tell you about a clear dream, smelling around a negative place, and pay tribute to my daughter-in-law, Dawn McConaughey. She and his son, our youngest, have been married for 15 years now, and they have two, she had an expression, gorgeous children. But they are now on a one-month tour in the bus that my son put together, camping lesson. And they're and I think that in messages from state parks where they can retire Theodore Roosevelt's state park. I don't know what state it is. No, I'm going to Google it. Anyway, I feel privileged and happy to have this wonderful woman as my daughter-in-law. She and the son are both architects, and they have just started from their own. They're overwhelmed with lots of commissions and they're so great, and I'm just so happy for them, and I love them.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Carolyn Haken, and I just want to say I graduated with my master's degree from the University of Virginia, and my sister went there for a while I was living in Charlottesville, and she and her husband and her two daughters went back to visit, and she sent me pictures of the beautiful and moving monument that the University of Virginia has put up to the enslaved people who built UVA originally, and it's really beautiful and moving. If you get a chance to go see it, I'm definitely putting it.
A fund, Betty and Sheldon Robbins Therapeutic Arts Fund, and people can make donations in honor of someone in their family or in honor of someone that they feel they want to be remembered, and that money will be designated only for professional musicians and artists. I go and I do art therapy while playing. I'm an art therapist, does landscape with residents and memory care and regular residents, and I play cello. So funds from that particular fund can be used to pay, so some of us can earn a living while, earn a living. COVID's happening, there's no work for certain types of artists. And so I'm joyful about that. And they're producing little cards for me that have some sort of weird stamp on them, like, the grocery stores and magazines, and people can look at the stamp and on their phone it'll show up, whatever the Martin Council for the Arts, the way that they can make a little donation in someone's name, which I think is fabulous. So they are remembered. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, there are always more than we express aloud, so Barney will move a stone for those that we carry with us and we take seriously. Also, I have to add, there's so much sadness in the public realm today. The fires, my God, the fires out west, the heat out west, the fires in Europe. Wow, may we all get through this somehow. This is a reading from the hymnal entitled Strange and Foolish Walls by A. Powell Davies. The years of all of us are short, our lives precarious. Our days and nights go hurrying on, and there is scarcely time to do the little that we might. Yet we find time for bitterness, for petty treason and evasion. What can we do to stretch our hearts enough to lose their littleness? Here we are, all of us, all upon this planet, bound together in a common destiny, living our lives between the briefness of the daylight and the dark. Kindred in this, each lighted by the same precarious, flickering flame of life. How does it happen that we are not kindred in all things else? How strange and foolish are these walls of separation that divide us. Some moments of silence. Spirit of life, we will hum a verse and then sing a verse. And now our morning offering will be received. The offering, these plates represent the generosity of those who went before us so we could be here. We hope the generosity we share will help us to be here for those that come after us. May this generosity do all that we intended to. Don't you love it when you call some medical place or some business place and you're told, following the call, there will be a brief survey. If you're willing to stay to respond to that, when that happens, I can't wait to hear how to say no. But I want to say to all those who are watching from up north, following the service today, there will be a 2-minute, no, there won't be. I promise there won't be, but we are soliciting feedback from people. So I would like hearing from you what you think is going well, what you think isn't. And I look at these services during the week. I notice it's kind of beaming us from on top. And please don't respond that, Bob, you're thinning on top. I'll assume you don't mean the sermon. I'll assume what you mean I can't fix. So anyway, there's that. I was surprised to find this reading by Reinhold Niebuhr in the back of our hymnal. I think we'll see it. Niebuhr was a prominent Christian theologian in America in the middle of the last century. He was professor of ethics at Union Theological Seminary in Manhattan and active in the Socialist Party. Most of his books were about the connection between religion and politics. Another of his famous quotes, "Man's capacity for justice makes democracy possible, but man's inclination to injustice makes democracy necessary." 2 more accolades. He was revered by no lesser lights than Barack Obama and Enid Johnson. So let me just read some of these lines. I chose it because of the title, We Must Be Saved. Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Now, what Niebuhr, of course, is saying, I'm not sure I know, but I know it's not contained in the word saved that I've heard all my life in religious circles. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Wow. And then this last part, no virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as from our own. He's talking about a lifetime, what takes a lifetime and makes a lifetime. By saved, he doesn't mean what many have said it means. Saved, salvation comes from the Latin salvus, which means whole or healthy. It has been hijacked and cheapened to mean insurance for the afterlife. But it's about becoming whole in this life. So life is a journey toward wholeness. My wife, Lori, finally got a new doctor. And we told her we waited 6 months, and she was highly recommended. She told us not to recommend her to anyone. You've heard this, haven't you? Because she can't take on any more patients. She also told us that many of our parts were not made for the longevity we are having, and only so much of us can be recalled and rebuilt. So Niebuhr is taking the long view about salvus. Pardon another digression. I have an allergy for jargon. I said here a long time ago, actually in that sanctuary quite a few years ago, that I haven't gotten over No problem slipping in and taking the place of you're welcome. No problem equals you're welcome. Really? Maybe for normal people. No problem sounds to me like you really haven't inconvenienced me that much. Actually, my deep research, which of course means Google, tells me it's a generational thing. And younger people like to convey that kindness really is no burden, no problem. Sorry, but the digression isn't about that. It's about the long view and saved. Since the prior presidency and all through it, we began hearing about transactional. Now, the only other place I've heard about transactional was I'm okay, you're okay. Transactional analysis. But we started hearing about it not to do with therapy. Actually, I thought to do with wreckage. Domestic and foreign policy, all of a sudden, were transactional. The Cambridge Dictionary tells me it has to do with buying and selling, like the transactions on your credit cards that you occasionally want to check out. But about government actions, it sounds like transactional means in the moment, now. What gets us through now. Not with a long view, certainly not connected to history we might want to keep in mind or even keep faith with. So saved in evangelical circles meant something that could happen in a moment, securing your afterlife, not salvus, becoming whole. In fact, in the early centuries of Christianity, many people thought it was a good idea to get baptized just before you die. You know why? So everything's covered. You can't possibly have slipped, and that will be held against you later. Constantine, you've heard of him, around 300 or so. He did that, baptized on his deathbed. What Reinhold Niebuhr says here tells us as long as we live, we are becoming whole, if we choose to, even if some of our parts seem to have a time stamp on them expiring before we do. My most recent helping of Save Talk was a family from Texas on a Viking cruise on the Dnieper, Ukraine. The mother in that family concluded every conversation with, "Oh, well, I'm saved, and that's all that matters." I made sure she had no conversations with me. I've heard enough of being saved. Christian theologians from the beginning, as in St. Paul, have coined and made much of the phrase saved by faith or justified by faith. By that, I think Paul meant we are made whole in life by living in a trusting relationship with the source, our Creator. I'm not sure what he meant. He was born a Pharisee Jew. He had some kind of aha experience that the fervent Jew Jesus brand of Judaism was right for him. And we probably never would have heard of Christianity had it not been for Paul's rhetorical and organizing skills. Theologians like Augustine and Luther came along and took up his saved by faith emphasis. For Luther, that meant trusting in a power higher than the requirements of the Roman Catholic sacramental system. A defrocked priest friend of mine used to say, his old church keeps going because it convinces enough people to keep jumping through hoops. I think Luther, a former Catholic monk himself, tried to neon light Paul's emphasis. It's all about becoming whole with the source of life, which is within and everywhere. Hearing about this saved business all my adult religious life, what saved me really has been doubt. Doubt kept me from swallowing what might have ended my journey toward wholeness, indeed, my quest for salvation. So truly a heretic, remember a heretic means other than orthodox, truly a heretic before I ever met you, I have been saved by doubt. I remember world history in 10th grade. It was mostly about Europe, but we learned or mislearned a little about Asia. I first heard about India and Hinduism and something about sacred cows. I much later learned that most religions have sacred cows. I remember learning there were many, many more people in India than in the US, and I learned a little about China and its many millions of people there, now billions, and the religion named for Confucius, which was about wisdom, and I think something was said about ancestor worship. Ditto, a lot of Buddhists in Japan and elsewhere. So when I got invited across the street in Troy, New York, to an evangelical college group at RPI. Now we have somebody here who went to RPI. But I don't think he ever got to this evangelical college group, did you, Bud? No, I don't think you did. Actually, they had invited a girl I did not want going there without me. At these meetings, they read all about readings about being saved and how our faith was the only one that could do it. They read with perverse delight Jonathan Edwards' Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. The true believers were looking down into a pit in which all the wrong-believing folks were burning. Jonathan Edwards, spellbinding colonial Calvinist to the core, was one of the inspirations behind people like our first use Channing to look elsewhere for becoming whole. Something in me revolted at that scene, both at the scene Edwards concocted and the scene of bright engineering college students enjoying it. It seemed like common sense that most people in the world are what they are religiously by accident of birth. It certainly didn't seem fair or smart to think a creator of the universe would favor such a small part of the human race. It just seemed self-serving. It still does. Also, in my appreciation of Hebrew and Christian scripture, I've been saved by doubt. I love the Jewish and the Christian scriptures. I've committed many lines to memory because I think it helps to have lines in you that are inspirational. For me, that really rang true in the past year or two. Lines like, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Lines of poetry may do the same for you, and they do for me. I like Blake's, "Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee?" Now a cynic might rebut me with, "Are you kidding? I know who made the little lamb. 2 big sheep. And it's nature, Bob, nothing theological or spiritual there." The spiritual is in posing the question. If you've ever held your own newborn or someone else's, you know who made that, and that is nature too. But for you in those moments, mystery and miracle seem close by. Other poetry for me that captures the sacred begins with, "There was an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of 3. I have to think I'm kind of an instance of this. I hated this in required reading in 10th grade. Did you have the Ancient Mariner in high school? Oh man, that was like my mother's cod liver oil for sure. But ever since I've reflected on it, I can't stop talking about it. There was an Ancient Mariner, he stoppeth one of 3. Coleridge based his rhyme on a vision of Peter in the book of Acts, a dream in which a fisherman follower of Jesus saw that he should not divide the creation, animal and human, into clean and unclean. Coleridge, a clergyman and a poet, was into scripture and into opium, hence his eerie visions of a painted ship upon a painted ocean. But his point was as scriptural and sacred as you can find. Don't call a creature of divine origin foul, or you may end up wearing one. Scripture, like great poetry, keeps us tuned to the wondrous in creation, tuned to just what we might be needing and missing there. It's usually called sacred scripture or holy writ because we might find sacred or holy in it, not because all of it is holy and sacred, not in its entirety. Through my years of loving it and studying it and memorizing it, I also heard from people who thought it was straight from deity and infallible in every detail. And again, the only true and right one. Common sense caused a lot of doubt to creep in about its utter infallibility. There is such obvious humanness in the Jewish and the Christian scriptures, and not good humanness. One of the spiritual mountaintops in the Psalms is number 139, a long celebration of the divine presence in all of life. But at the end of it, a diversion into a little dose of vengeance. Oh, that you would slay all my enemies. And that goes on a bit. The first followers of Jesus were Jewish, just like Jesus. Those first followers decided they could take their scripture, the Hebrew scripture, and say it was all about Jesus. And why aren't the rest of the Jewish people getting it? They must be evil. One of the worst scenes of this is in the Gospel of Matthew at the crucifixion. The Jewish crowd is yelling, "Crucify him." And the Romans say, "Are you sure you want this?" And supposedly the crowd say, "Yes, and his blood, his death be upon us and our children." Light bulb time. What parents, what Jewish parents would say, "You can blame our children"? The early Christian writers, Jews themselves, seeded the history of anti-Semitism we know too well. And in that atrocity of a film called The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson put demon faces on the babies in the crowd. I memorized a number of texts from Christian scripture that say a believer who doubts is unstable. Do I look unstable? When I read in the great theologian Paul Tillich that doubt is evidence of faith and an essential part of it, I was born again. Tillich, like Niebuhr, one of the greats of the last century, said, "It is my mission to bring faith to the faithless and doubt to the faithful." If, like me, you are listening to too much political commentary today, you are hearing people say two contradictory things can be true, or two contradictory things can have truth in them. And we are happy to affirm at UU that one person's truth doesn't invalidate another person's truth. And what is true for me doesn't have to be true for you. If I really believe that, and I do, I am free to say, "So tell me what is true for you." It doesn't diminish, it enriches. Doubt saves me. Now, this last hymn is number 313. Oh, what a piece of work are we? Now, I suspect you've maybe seen that title and thought of people that might apply to. I have. But I want us to read this and take the words seriously, so we're not going to sing it. We're going to read it together off the wall. Oh, what a piece of work are we? Oh, what a piece of work are we, how marvelously wrought, the quick contrivance of the hand, the wonder of our thought, the wonder of our thought. Why need to look for miracles outside of nature's law? Humanity we wonder at with every breath we draw, with every breath we draw. But give us room to move and grow, and give our spirit play. We can make a world of light out of the common clay, out of the common clay. Barney will now extinguish the chalice during these closing words. The universe is vast. It invites us to wonder and to wander. Truth, the divine, all that engages our imaginations and our minds and our hearts, must be as big and inviting as our home, the universe. Remember, after the postlude, we have water that's provided outside. Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. You've been great today. I also want to underline our gratitude to Karina and to Chris in the closet, making all this somehow all hang together. They really did a lot of work today. Let's all have some water outside. Thank you, Barney.